Welcome to Inside Straight. I'm Larry Mazza, your host. Happy to have you back if you've been following us. And as always, my co-host, tech, agent, manager, and wife, Kelly is right here too.
Good morning. Hope everyone is doing well.
As you can see by the background, and I mentioned last week that Brandon from First Pillar Production is on a cruise, a honeymoon cruise, or no, anniversary cruise. So we allowed him to take the week off, and we're lucky to have Kayla here with us today. So we thank her very much for coming in, keep the show rolling. And to start, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL and how volatile it is and why it's so hard to pick compared to the college football, but just in general, gambling's hard to pick. It's hard to pick a winner, but you take the Eagles. They open up, they look great beating Green Bay, who's a trendy type team that the NFL was touting, and it was at a neutral field. That was a really good win for the Eagles. But then they go to Atlanta when they should, they go back to Philadelphia. They're at home, coming off a great win like that, and they lose to Atlanta, who lost to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not touted to go anywhere this year. Always going to be a solid organization. How does that happen from one week to the other? Then you have Green Bay going home without their starting quarterback. They're playing Indianapolis. Wise guys jumped on Indianapolis. Green Bay beats them. Very difficult to gauge that. Also, you had Dallas getting blown away at home by New Orleans. That was one of my very bad predictions. New Orleans, not that game in particular. The week earlier, I said that New Orleans scored 47 points. Who saw that coming? They'll never score 47 again. Well, they didn't. They scored 42 against Dallas, in Dallas. So, after watching that game, everybody should be taking notes. Derek Carr is playing like the player they thought he would be, that superstar quarterback. Alvin Kamara, the running back. He's running like he's back in college, gliding like a gazelle. It was unbelievable. And he had 2 years that was subpar for him. They were going to trade him. And now here he is. He's running like he's a kid. So those are things you have to adjust. I'm certainly going to give New Orleans more credit this week when I handicap the NFL, which I didn't get to yet, but I do have wise guy plays. Kansas City. The public loves them. The NFL loves them. It's great for ratings. They could keep showing Taylor Swift. I called it Taylor Smith before by mistake. But they enjoy that, okay? And almost to the point where it makes the bettors worry. And it makes the bookmakers worry. They are this close to being 0-2, Kansas City. Okay? The first game, they won by a toegate, when they couldn't figure out if the guy's foot was on the line or not. It took them 20 minutes, and then there's game over. They could have lost that game, okay? I touted Baltimore, so I'm a little unhappy about that. But I also, if you remember, I had the under, so I just barely pulled that out. The second game against Cincinnati was a horrible, horrible call to cost Cincinnati a big win on the road, bouncing back from a horrible loss at home. So that's why I liked Cincy in that game. I loved them with the 7 points. I thought they could win the game. Coming down to the end, they're winning the game, and Mahomes throws a desperation pass. It was fourth down. Both players jumped straight up. He didn't jump into him. He didn't climb over his back. I looked at it 100 times because it cost me money. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. But I jumped with the guy. Okay, I couldn't believe they called pass interference. KC winds up getting the win. All they needed was a chip shot field goal to win it after that. So Kansas City could have been 0-2. Okay? And Mahomes, being the highest rated quarterback, even I have him the highest rated. I have him a 5. He's the only true 5 to me in the NFL at the moment. There's others like C.J. Stroud out of Houston. I think he'll become a 5. He's got to do it a few years. Last year, he played like a 5, but he's got to do it consistently. You have Josh Allen. To me, he's a 4.75, and it's arguable. You know, you switch teams. If you put him on the Chiefs with the system they have, would he have won 3 Super Bowls? Would Mahomes make Buffalo a 3-time winner? I don't think so. I think it all has to come together, and that's why you gotta factor in the coaches and the systems. Very, very important when you're handicapping. And Mahomes, he certainly doesn't help me in Super Bowls.
Well, isn't that why you lose the Super Bowl every year?
Yeah, I do. I have a hard time with the Super Bowl, and my problem is this. I used to be a bookmaker many years ago, and being a bookmaker, you can never, ever root for Joe Montana. You can't root for Tom Brady. You can't root for Patrick Mahomes. Go back a little further, I couldn't root for Terry Bradshaw when they won 3. The public is always going to bet that superstar quarterback, that front-running team, and if they win, the house loses. So there's been plenty of Super Bowls that I should have won, but I didn't. And it's actually, I'm upset with you for bringing that up. It cost me a lot of money, the Super Bowls.
It does.
So anyway,
It's not
all
my
right.
favorite day of the year of football because it's very stressful.
It's stressful. It's stressful. But now that betting is legal, I'm just going to bet Patrick Mahomes, like everybody else.
I'll remind you of that.
We're going to move on to a segment we're adding this week because now after the questions and answers, which we're going to do at the end again, we are getting a lot of feedback, a lot of comments. So I figured let's take a little time and see what we got. I know you got some you picked out that you want to do, so fire away.
Fire away. I am.
These are comments, not so much questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. We're going to respond to them. So.
Yeah, I'm going to, especially if I don't like what they say.
All right. Frank from Staten Island. Thanks, Larry. Had Texas Tech and the over parlay, a game I would not have thought about. Also, you got me noticing things like Indiana and the quarterback. Great stuff. Keep it coming.
Good. Well, really good. First of all, I'm happy you hit that parlay. I had just missed the week earlier on Texas Tech. I know they're an offensive explosion, okay? And they're going to rate well against a lot of defenses. That game in particular, they rated real good, and their defense isn't going to stop anybody. They won 66-21. I'll go over the college winners and losers in a little bit. And the Indiana quarterback, I rated him an 8 to open the season. A lot of people didn't know him. But my work, my analytics, everything, the team that got information for me, we rated him an 8. I had up him to a 9 already. The team scored 150 points in 3 games. You can't buck that. And that's why it's important to do your handicapping early in the season because you could gain an advantage over the line maker. Now the line's catching up. Indiana's minus 27.5 this week. I don't think they were 27.5 in the last 10 years. So
We'll see.
the line maker caught up. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that comment.
Sal from Iowa. We know a Sal from Iowa.
Yes, we do.
It's not the same Sal.
I don't think so.
No, it's
he
not.
He doesn't know sports too good. The last time I spoke to Sal Reno, he told me that the Cubs won by 2 points and not 2 runs. So anyway, but he's a dear friend.
Okay.
So Sal.
This Sal. Okay. You guys had Iowa last week, and I followed. Lost, but was at the game. Iowa was asleep for the first half.
Well, I watch a lot of games.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I wasn't watching that one, but I saw the scoreboard. And typically, Iowa has a great defense. When they scored the first 7 points, I said, okay. We laid a lot. We laid like 23 on the game. And almost instantly, I saw 7 up. That was a bad sign because Iowa's strength is their defense, and they weren't playing a very good team. So I watched a little bit of the way, and first half, I figured I was a loser. Second half, they wound up winning the game by 17. One more score, we cover. It's a loser, so that's life. But yeah, sometimes teams, especially kids, and that's why motivation and coaching is so important. You know, they thought they had the game won because it's a bad team. They got to get on the field and play. The week before they played Iowa State, rival. So they were up here, then they slipped down to here for this game. I expect them to be back up on top this week.
Okay. So we have Mike from California. Any updates on the movie? Loving your podcast. Like the variety you are adding. Variety is the spice of life.
It is. And I'm going to add some mob stuff too along the way.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to get too much into the mob stuff because the market is saturated. I've said that before. And there's a lot of guys doing a great job.
Yes.
You know, I love
Yes.
Mike Francesi, Johnny A. Light, John Livia, all the guys. Sammy the Bull has a great, and they all have great shows. So what am I going to do? Do the same thing? We'll have to share nights. You do Monday, I'll do Tuesday. So this is going to be more of a variety type show. And my background and my book and the stuff I did in the movies is always going to come up, and I welcome that. I love it. I want to talk about it. I'm humbled by it, as you know. I think you know. I'm genuinely happy that people
Yes,
are following me. You know. So
yes.
anyway, yeah. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things.
As always,
Yeah.
we get the comments on my 2 cents.
Yeah, oh,
So
yeah.
you will be adding that back in
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
My 2 cents will be, I'm going to be on and off Facebook because I definitely want to promote us and things like that. And I have my column, My 2 Cents. I'm
Right.
getting some good feedback on the last one. It was a little political. I talked about it in the last show, and I stand my ground there. I think people need to just make a decision based on what's best for them,
That's true.
not personalities, not who they like, not religion, not color of skin. Just what you think is best for you, and that's your vote. That's my opinion. So,
Okay.
yep.
All right, we have Maria from Detroit. Where can I get your book? Is an audio version available?
I'll start with the book, and the rest of you got to answer because I don't know about the audio. I know which. The book is at www.larrymazza-thelife.com. I wrote the book myself. I published it through a local
Publisher.
publisher. So I didn't go to anything like Simon & Schuster or anything like that, which De Niro said was a great move. And hopefully it's going in that direction where it is a great move, but it's taken so long to get anywhere. But the book is out. It's for sale. It's been a good seller. I mean,
Right.
people are giving me great feedback. But that's where you could get it right now. And if you like the Kindle version, go on Amazon. But if you want a signed copy, I sign every one. To this day, I haven't sent a book out without signing it. It's www.larrymazza-thelife.com. The audio...
We are working on the audio,
yeah,
and we hope to get that done this year, before the end of the year.
Yeah.
We should have it out. It is something that we have been working on. And
All
don't
right.
forget to tell them to go to Inside Straight.
Yes, and you could go. Yeah, I got to bring that up again too. Our website is www.insidestraight.com. We are ready to roll. We have everything up and running. People are actually joining. I want those people to know that if they did not get a full month, they're going to get a complimentary month because it took us longer to actually open, and it's not our fault. There were some legal issues. Nothing wrong other than disclaimers and things like that.
Right.
The companies that you deal with, credit card companies, banks, stuff like that, they hear gambling. This is why I get in that rant last week on hypocrisy. It's okay for, Colin Coward to do it, or, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, all the guys on ESPN, Stephen A. Smith. They all talk about gambling. They talk about who is going to win the game by how many points.
Right.
We're doing nothing different. We're not promoting gambling, and if we do talk about it, which we probably are because we know it's out there, it's legal. So
Right.
I'm talking about gambling. Go do it legally. You don't have to bet with the little local bookmaker if you don't want to. Those
Right.
days are over.
Correct.
There's plenty of places to bet. Hard Rock, MGM. They have apps. Imagine if I had an app in Brooklyn when I was doing this, I'd be a zillionaire today. But we
Yes.
didn't have them.
You didn't?
No, I had 4 telephones and that was it. In a boiler room like they think now. We had a nice office. Anyway,
So we are waiting
Yeah.
for the attorneys and everyone
Right.
else to meet everyone's requirements
Yeah.
on what the disclaimers and all those things need to say. So
yeah, it's really any day. We're ready to put this information on for you to read it on a daily basis. I tell you that all the time, and some of you have been looking and sending comments, and those ones I don't want to answer because I'm embarrassed.
Right.
But we
Well,
do feel
we
for you,
apologize.
and I try to give you as much as I can right here on the show, and that's complimentary.
Right.
So a lot of this is priceless. I'm going to go over the college. I think I did the pros from last week, the winners and losers, didn't I? Well, I'm going to do them real quick because college is, I guess, is my forte. Although we had a good week with the pros, our winners were Tampa Bay plus 6.5. That wasn't a wise guy game. It was a trend we saw happening where a lot of squares were betting one way and the line wasn't moving. That's a scary thing. The Jets, the wise guys were on. We agreed, so that was a good play. Seattle, the wise guys were on against New England. We agreed, that was a good play. Washington was my pick because if you remember, I couldn't have said anything more derogatory about the Giants as an organization. And they lost again to Washington, who's not much better. Okay, we had the Chargers. We just jumped on the bandwagon against Carolina, basically. The matchup didn't look like Carolina could, come back and after that horrible first game. And the coach now, you got to watch, he's panicking. He's got a great young quarterback there, and Bryce Young, one of the top picks, and he's benching him already. That may not be a good thing, but I think he's worried about his job. And he has his backup that's been around for 50 years. I forget his name, Dalton with the red beard. I didn't forget his name. I just said it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't going to.
I have so much on my mind, sometimes I forget. Cincinnati was a fantastic winner. We had him the game, the first half. The money line I lost, and I'd like to punch that ref in the face for making that cowardly call. Okay.
Don't hold back. Don't.
Our losers were Indianapolis. We talked about that. It was hard for us to believe. I mean, Green Bay is good at home, but I had to upgrade their quarterback situation because the backup played a hell of a game. The backup is good. I got to take the loss, the responsibility for that, because had I known he was that good and he brings something different, a little bit more running and more mobility, I might not have played the game. But it was a loser. The Rams were a loser. They were atrocious. Atrocious. Okay, I have nothing else to say. Jacksonville was a wise guy pick. We agreed. It lost. So all in all, we won. I won 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games and lost 3. That's a great Sunday. But it's very volatile. Very volatile. Very tough. Okay. Our colleges last week. I'll go through these quickly, but we've talked about some of them. The Thursday night game, the Friday night game. We had ASU -7. They were actually getting 2 points. So that's a great prediction on our part because they won the game. And we also saw that when I say squares, in the old days, and no offense to anybody, when we were bookmakers, regular bettors were called suckers and the wise guys were called wise guys. It's not very nice. So it's been changed to squares. Just a square bettor is somebody who's betting the game just to watch it. He looks in the newspaper. He doesn't do his homework. He doesn't know who the wise guys are on. They all took the other side, Texas State. And I watched that, and I sent out a beep to all the people that are following me. Squares are all over Texas State. Wise guys took ASU. That's a play. And they took it, and a lot of our people won. So that was a good one. We had Friday night also Kansas and over. The Kansas UNLV game over. It was a loser. They scored points. They didn't quite get there. And that's when I told you, when you bet over, you start the game a loser. We ended the game a loser. So that's not good. Okay, the wise guys took Tulsa and under. I spoke about this. My line on Oak State was -24.5. Over about a touchdown more than the so-called professional. So to me, that's a double win. I took you off a wise guy game, or I gave you the option of getting off the wise guy game. To me, it's a double win, not to you. But Oak State won the game. They covered. So I went against the wise guys. Texas Tech and over, we talked about him in the comments. I'm glad he followed that one. Simple, 66-21. That's one of those games you wish you mortgaged the house on. But don't ever do that. No, never happen. I'll never tell you there's guarantees. I'm leaning towards a team. I like them a lot,
What's
and
the expression? Don't bet more than.
Oh, don't bet over your head.
Right. No,
Yeah.
don't bet more than the first bet. What did you used to say?
That's when I used to book and a guy stole that from Binion, who owns Binion's in Vegas. When a guy would come in and he'd say, what's your limit? What's the biggest bet you'll take? I tell him your first bet. Because what happens is, if a guy bets $500, halfway through the week he's down $3,000. Now he wants to bet $3,000. I said, no. 500 is the limit. So anyway.
Everyone has a pain threshold.
But it's more for the bankroll. Remember I said you got to manage your bankroll.
Right.
Very important to manage that bankroll. Okay, skip down to, big win right here. West Virginia, Pittsburgh, over was the play. Wise Guys and me. I had the game easily over. That's a big win. Missouri, we lost. They only won by 7. They were supposed to win by 10. That's a loser. I said a lot of points there was, but it didn't make it. Didn't get there. I didn't tout that with anything. That's just was a conversation. There was no bars next to it or anything. This is a big one. Remember this. Anybody that watched last week, Massachusetts, the team that I made fun of the week before, and I said they won't beat a high school team. Okay, that's big statements. The Wise Guys bet Massachusetts. Okay,
Of course they did.
+5. I had Buffalo -10. Buffalo won 34-3. So I'm 2-0 against the Wise Guys so far that week. But again, I always give them respect, and it'll balance out. They will win their share of games. Wise Guys were on Temple. I didn't agree, but they won. Uh-oh. Was that the cat? We're at our house. We're filming at our house. I think I just heard the cat walk in. I'm sorry. Anyway, we can't edit that out because this is a live show. But I thought I shut the back door.
You did. It was the air conditioner.
Oh, okay. I take it back.
There's all this equipment in the room.
Yes. Wise Guys laid 3 on A&M. They won. I had Florida pick them. I had to lay off because I don't go against them all the time. I got to give them the respect, and the line moved the right way. It moved up to 4 from 3. So I sort of laid off of that one, although I liked Florida. Okay, I had that one. I already spoke about West Virginia, Pittsburgh. Game went way over. Here was a real good one. The Utah quarterback was out. Utah's quarterback, Cam Rising, is probably 75% of their offense. Maybe more. That's a lot. I mean, when he's out of there, it's a big difference. Okay, so he was out. Wise Guys took +20. I followed them right away. Anybody that did, would win. They wound up winning 37-17. No, that was Virginia Tech. I take it back. It's the next game. They took the 20 against Utah. I forget who they were playing. That's the problem I'm having right now. I didn't write it down. But they were a winner, plus the 20. The game came down to 17. The thing that threw me off was that they bet the game over without Cam Rising. They hit that too. The Wise Guys took Utah plus the points and over. So that was a little surprising. But they were good. They wound up doing what they're supposed to do. Virginia Tech, a team that I had rated very high. The first week, they really, what do they say, did something to the bed. They just didn't show up. The second game, they came back. They won right at what the point spread was, 17. So if you got down in time, you won. If you waited long, you would have lost. This week, I stayed with them. They won 37-17. I had the line. I had them favored by about 30. The line was only 14, and they won by 20. So that was good. I made a mistake on one game. When the Wise Guys took Colorado State, and I did my research, I saw that Sanders was out. Sanders is one of the top quarterbacks in college football. He's always in the Heisman talk. Deion Sanders' son. That's all you have to say. But I made an amateur mistake. Deion Sanders' other son plays on the team too. And he's a safety, and he was out. He's a 4-star safety. He's going to be a pro. He's like his father. He's fast, he's quick, So it was still a big deal, and that's probably why they took him. But I touted it a little too strong. But I did give an update. I have it here in a big red circle with explanation points for all the people that watch. And if you would have got online, you would have said, I would have told you my mistake. And then it would have been up to you. There was still a play. Colorado State, they stuck with them, but that was my mistake. Okay, Connecticut, they were plus 17 against Duke. I had the game Duke -7. Duke, the favorite, won 26-21. That's a big win for me. I had Florida International and over. Florida International didn't play well, but the game did go over. They both scored points. I thought they would outscored the other team. It just worked out the other way. So that was a split. Texas, my exact words, blowout numbers. Big point spread, 44. But when I have blowout numbers, it's really just how much they want to win by. And you have to factor in lots of other things. The Wise Guys took them too, so 56-7 they won. And people got to realize when a line is that high, the total is only going to be maybe in the game 55. That tells you it's going to be a one-sided game. Because if the point spread's 44, for them to cover, they got to score 45 themselves. So that's very important when you're handicapping him. There's what they call correlated games. You're not allowed to bet Texas and over. Because if Texas covers the spread, they almost went over themselves already. So it's like one bet. But that's more for our Gambling 101 day when they want to learn more about that stuff. So that was a blowout. Wise guys were on Houston. I liked Hawaii. Wise guys got me there. You would have known they took Houston. But I would have let you know I still liked Hawaii. So where we agree is very important. They usually win. But so far, I still got the edge on them this week. South Florida, nobody played it but me. Minus 15.5 was my line. They were about 10. They won 49-24. Not a good win. This was a real good game for me. I gave it 2 bars. I was teetering on a little bit more. And if a wise guy would have played it, it easily would have been 3 or 4 bars.
You're doing very good with that this week. Yeah.
Toledo. Mississippi State was about a 10-point favorite. Toledo's a very talented team. It's just that they play in a small town in Ohio. But they're one of those teams that has a good culture. Toledo's always good. They're not great. They're not going to win the tournament or anything like that, the championship. But they're always a solid team. They're always well coached.
Right.
I think kids like playing there for some reason. So anyway, I had Mississippi State only -3. And I had them looking ahead to this week where they're playing either Florida or one of their rivals. I think it is Florida. So it was an easy game for them to look past, and they did. They lost 41-17 at home. I picked the underdog there, Toledo. That was a real good pick, if I say so myself. I had Auburn as a possible look ahead. They won and covered, so if you played them, good for you. If you laid off because of me, I'm sorry. I just thought they might be looking ahead too. But it wasn't a play. I didn't do anything with it. Air Force. I liked Air Force. Baylor. I had Baylor only 7.5. They were about 14. I thought it was way too high, but Baylor won. They won 31-7. That was a loser for me. Georgia. Before the season started, I told you they will be involved in tough games. The first game against Clemson was pretty tough till the second half. The next game, they blew out a team that there's no right playing. It's an off week for the team. After a tough game, sometimes they schedule a week where they can, heal from injuries. And that's going to come into play for next week's picks. But I mentioned in there, I says, in the first 3 games, they got Clemson, this other team, then they got Georgia, then they got Kentucky. Kentucky always plays them tough. It was 6-6 in the fourth quarter. And Georgia was like a 20-something point favorite. They won with a late field goal by 3. So that was a very good pick. I only put leaning to Kentucky because it's hard for me to. Georgia's so friggin' powerful. It's hard, but again, and if I swayed you away from Georgia that one day, you would have blew teasers, you would have lost everything.
Right.
So that's a good pick. Let me see here. Oh, Indiana we spoke about. That's
right.
I don't want to go too much into that, but the wise guys doubled up on Indy. That I didn't say in the comment section. Plus, I had them -8.5 when they were 2.5 or 3. I says, what are they waiting for? This kid's fantastic. They got a great offense. And they won 42-13. And like I said, I wasn't exaggerating. I said it before in the comments. This team has scored 150 points in 3 games. Wow. That's 50 points a game. I don't care who you're playing against. I mean, it's almost not enough time in the game to do that. All right. Tennessee, I put blowout numbers. I did say there's a possible look ahead because next week they got Oklahoma. They weren't looking ahead. They won 71-0. So that was a good game. Rice was a horrible one for me. I had a -13. I took the points. I took the money line. They should have stayed home because they never got in the game with Houston, and I got to give the wise guys credit. They took Houston. Maryland, 3 goal bars. Wise guys laid 2.5. I had them 5.5. That's what made it 3 goal bars. 27-13 Maryland. Easy win. BYU was a bad one for me. I had the -3. I said that they'll kill teasers. They certainly did because if you bet the other team, you lost with the 20 points. BYU killed Wyoming. They won by 20. I didn't see it. I got to readjust my numbers on Wyoming because I've lost with them twice now this year. And I don't forget. I'm not going to Wyoming anytime soon.
Okay.
For vacation. San Jose, -27. Okay? That's what I had. Their real line was -17, so that's a play for me. San Jose, 10 points is good. They won 31-10. So the college was real good. We went through the pros. It was good. It was a good week. We talk about these games on the show. I always mention, and when the site's up and running, how important it is to check in daily as these things come in on a daily basis and things change from day to day. So that's pretty much that. I'm going to go into this week's predictions now. Okay, and again, listen to everything I say. Some games are super solid. Some are, my opinion. Some are wise guy games. When I tell you they're both, that's a game you probably want to listen to. Thursday night, Appalachian State -7 is the line. I got them 15. I gave them a gold bar. They're playing South Alabama. It's an interstate rivalry. Appalachian State had a tough game last week against East Carolina. I just think being at home, they're a little bit better. They don't, you be smart with your bankroll there. Friday night's game, Syracuse -9.5 over Stanford. I got them 20.5.
Okay.
And Syracuse at home is tough. Stanford has to come all the way from California, even though they're in that conference now, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yeah,
Okay.
I say the conference is all messed up. So they're still practicing all week in Stanford. All right? Is school on? School's on.
Yes.
So they got to be practicing in Stanford. They can't say, take the week off from school. So the end of the week, maybe Friday sometime, they got to take a plane ride all the way to upstate New York, Syracuse, and play in the dome. It's called the Carrier Dome. I think it's called the Carrier Dome, where Syracuse plays. Yeah, I used to call it the Orange Dome. I think they changed it to the Carrier Dome. Anyway, 20.5, I have them. So that's, to me, a solid home play. Washington State is -14 over San Jose. The wise guys took under. I agree. But I have the game only 9, which supports the underdog. So I like San Jose myself a little bit, but the under they played, it makes sense to me. That's the type of game I have handicapped. I don't think Washington State will run away with it, especially after beating their rival Washington last week. So it may take them a little time to wake up. I like that game. The dog and the wise guys took under. Saturday, now we have a whole bunch here. Game 311, Cincinnati -5.5 over Houston. I've got them like 17. The problem is the wise guys are on Houston again. Maybe Houston has turned the corner. I went against them the first game or two, and I was good. Then the last two, they're screwing me.
Can you say that?
I think I could say that. You know what I'd like to say, but I
Yes,
didn't say
no.
it. Okay, so that again, it's a 50-50. So I can't call it a big play, but they're on Houston. But I got Cincy much better at home. 3:15. I'm not going to talk about too much. Penn State -50. So we said before, these high lines, people are afraid. They make it that high to scare you away. It's going to be a one-sided game. I got the game 55. How much higher could it be? It's blowout numbers. The problem is, it's like, how many times can you beat up the little kid in the neighborhood when you were a big kid? You beat them up once, twice, 3 times. By the fourth quarter, they may be tired of beating them. And then if they're only up 45-0, that's the problem. But I couldn't go against them, because they can pick the score. Ohio State -39 over Marshall. I've got them 55 again. That's blowout numbers. Same situation. They don't belong on the same field. They do not belong on the same field. If Ohio State is focused, they cover that spread. They score in the 60s themselves. Okay. Boston College is 6.5 over Michigan State. Big value game for me. I made it 3 gold bars because I've got Michigan State -3.5. I know BC's been putting up some numbers. They've been playing good. But Michigan State is in a much tougher conference, so their numbers to me are a little more important, or what's the word? Convincing. And I've got them definitely. I'm going to take the money line, and I'm going to take the points. I think that's a lot of value there. Michigan State. Indiana -27.5. I got them 34. The line maker's catching up. He's got them close, so I think they're still probably worth a play. They're on a hell of a roll. I don't see Charlotte stopping it. Charlotte's one of those teams, again, that it's almost an off week for Indiana. If Charlotte was playing in Penn State, it would be 45, or Ohio State, Okay, game 328, Kansas and West Virginia over. The only problem there, which makes me not make it multiple bar game is that West Virginia, they just played their watershed game. They call it the watershed, behind the watershed, because West Virginia and Pittsburgh were real close to each other.
Right.
And it's an intense rivalry. And the game went over last week, like we said. It was close. It was a hard-fought game. They may not be able to rise to that level, but the numbers say there's going to be not much defense on the field to stop these two offenses. So that's one where, you could bet the over there and just, I won't make it multiple bars. 329, North Carolina -10. I got them -20. Wise guys are on the underdog, James Madison. The line moved my way. So if they took +10, the game should go down to +9 or 8.5. Typically, a wise guy game moves a point and a half at least. Okay? This game went up to 10.5. Makes me think I'm right, and they're not going to be in a position to buy it back. So they took James Madison +10. I like North Carolina. I got a -20. Game 332, Louisville -10 over Georgia Tech. I only got -4. I've rated Georgia Tech well all season. I've been on the right side of them every game. I think I am still. I don't say they're going to go into Louisville and win, but it's going to be a good game. And 10 points is a lot. 334, Clemson -17 over NC State. I only got them 8.5. Again, the wise guys are on under in that game. Very important. If they take under, 17 points is a lot to cover. And I only have it 8.5. So their play is under, which I'm going to give, at least 2 gold bars to. And I'm going to give my prediction of NC State a gold bar also. I think that'll be a tough rivalry, tight defensive game. Game 337, Iowa's -2.5 over Minnesota. We talked about Iowa. Mm-hmm. They were in a donut game last week. Iowa State, then a team that's not so good, Northern Illinois or somebody like that, Northern Iowa, they struggle a little bit. Now they're going to play another rival, Minnesota, same conference. I've got them 9.5. I think they rebound. I think they were looking past and looking ahead, and they got entrapped last week. And if I'd have done my homework a little bit more, or my person who's supposed to do that for me, not you, don't worry.
I was going to say.
You're safe. Anyway, that's something I overlooked. But I didn't this week, and I think I got them 9. And I had them 9.5. I think Iowa will rebound well. FSU, I'm 0-3 with them. I readjusted them again. I don't know how much lower I can keep bringing them down. Their talent level was so high. They're playing California. Now again, California used to be in the Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever it was. Now they're in the ACC, the Atlantic Coast. They had to come all the way across country to join that conference. Now, same thing. They got to travel to play Florida State and Tallahassee. Florida State's 2.5. I got them 7.5. If they don't win this game, I'm going to just scratch them off the schedule because they're going to pack in the season. And not that they're going to win a championship. Now they have no shot. Okay, but they got pride. They got pride, and the coach's job
and
is
they
at
show
stake.
up every day for practice.
So let's hope they show up for the game. 344, Kentucky, very important, -18.5 over Ohio. I got them 20.5. There's no play there at all. But what I am mentioning is it's after the Georgia letdown. They were so close to winning that game. They're not going to get over it for a while. And they have a bunch of injuries because that was a hard-fought game. They got a bunch of injuries. Right. Too many to mention. So you got to just lay off of that game. Talent-wise, they should win, but I worry about them in that game. You got Virginia Tech, Rutgers. The wise guys are on over. I don't see it yet. Both teams have decent defense, good defenses. Schiano, the coach at Rutgers, it was a defensive coordinator in the pros. He was a coach in the pros. He's very good defensively. He's got his team playing real good on defense. They're scoring more than usual, and I think that's maybe what they're thinking. But the numbers to me don't show a shootout. But the wise guys bet over. I'm saying I'm going to wait on that. Game 352, Kansas State -7. I got them 17.5 over BYU. That's that BYU that bit me last week against Wyoming. I think it's more because Wyoming is less than I thought than BYU is more. I got Kansas State winning that game. It's 2-goal buzz. Colorado State minus 10 against UTEP. I got to mention this game because the wise guys are on UTEP. They took plus 10. I got the game 14.5. I don't have an opinion, but wise guys are on UTEP. Game 364, Oregon State minus 6 against Purdue. This is a big rebound game for Purdue. They got crushed by Notre Dame. Remember the person asked about Notre Dame? I said, let me wait and see. And I didn't have a play on it last week. But Notre Dame was very mad about losing the game the week earlier. They needed to make the pollsters and everybody forget that because they're a national contender. But after losing that game, it put them in a bad light. So they came back and won like 66-7 or 66-3. But now I see Purdue rebounding. And the numbers show me that Purdue is minus 1.5, where they have Oregon State minus 6. So I got that as a 3-goal bar. I'm taking the money line. I'm taking the points. And I think Purdue could very possibly upset them. They're going to rebound good. They're a good team, Purdue. But Notre Dame, they just ran into a hornet's nest. Okay, 374. Texas, very important game. They're minus 45. They're playing Monroe. Monroe and Massachusetts would fight it out.
Right.
They're like two high school teams playing each other. They're just not very talented. The public knows Quinn Ewers, the starting quarterback, is out. And most of them know that Manning's the backup. But when you look into this, the wise guys are on Texas. When a quarterback is out, normally they jump on the other team right away.
Right.
But they know this Manning is going to put on a show. You mark my words. And something just came out in the news that he's as fast as Tyreek Hill, the guy on Miami. He's that fast and he's a quarterback. So when he takes off and runs, nobody's catching him. He's going to put on a show. And those are blowout numbers. I have the minus 52.5. The wise guys played him. I'm borderline 4 goal bars on that one. I gave him 3. By Saturday, that may be up to 4. I want to see if there's any buyback, line moves, things like that. That's why it's very rare that I give out a 4. You'll see a lot of 1 and 2s. I gave you a few 3s today. This is one that may turn into a 4. Game 380, Oak State minus 2.5. I got the game pick. Not a big deal, but the wise guys are on Utah. And when you evaluate the line spread, remember I told you certain games, like one there was team going into Nevada, I think it was Georgia Southern or something. Why were they favored in Nevada? Going all the way from Georgia to the home team that had played 2 good games, Georgia Southern beat them. Same thing here. How come Oklahoma State, who's heavily favored to win their division, conference, they're 3-0, playing real well, they're only 2.5 over Utah. Now, Utah's a good team. They're a solid, good cultured organization. They got Cam Rising back, which is big, and I think that's what they're looking into. And I also saw that Oak State has a ton of injuries after last game. So that's why that line is low, and the wise guys know it. So the wise guys are on Utah and over. I'm big on Utah, and I'm going to follow them on the over too, because it makes sense. It makes sense with Cam Rising coming back. Remember that game too. Okay, this is becoming monotonous, but it is a 4-goal bar play because Texas Tech, who I've been touting points, everybody's seeing that now, and ASU, 2 wise guy outfits both took the over. My numbers show great offensive ratings, horrible defensive ratings. 4-goal bars. Big game. Texas and over, and enjoy the shootout. Game 398, Memphis minus 10.5. They're playing Navy. The wise guys are on Navy. I love Navy. I got the game pick. To me, it's a teaser killer. If I was still in the bookmaking business and any bookies around or the house, that's going to be a game when everybody takes Memphis. Oh, let me put the 10 points. I only have to win by 1. Navy's going to bite them. That's a 4-goal ball play. I'm saving the best for last. Not really. Just happened to turn out that way. So the wise guys are on Navy. I got the game pick. It's a free 10 points if I'm right. So that's another good game. Liberty minus 7.5. I mention it because I got the game 7. There's nothing there. The wise guys are on East Carolina. They've been on East Carolina. They had them last week. They had them this week. The same as Houston. They get on teams sometimes and they just keep following them. And they must know something I don't. But I got the game same as the pro, so I'm not going to jump on that game. 408, Sam Houston over New Mexico State. Line's 14. I got him 10. To me, that's nothing because if I made him a little different tweak here and there, it's very close. The wise guys laid 14 on Sam Houston. When I don't see it like this, sometimes I bite myself. I'm ignoring the game, but they know something. So you got to know that. Sam Houston minus 14, they're not going to be favored 14 over many teams this year. They're not good. They're in that bracket of those teams that are just, very lower end. But to be 14-point favorites and them to lay it, that says a lot. Game 410, last one I'm going to do. Western Kentucky is Pick'em against Toledo. That's the team I said, very good. I got Toledo minus 10. I give that game 2 gold bars. Western Kentucky is not playing the way they were touted as a number 2 team in that conference. Toledo's playing the way they're supposed to. They won 41-10 last week, and I had them big. So that's real important to know. That's it for the college. On to the pros. I didn't get to handicap the pros yet. It takes a long time to do this. I still got about a dozen college games left. But I will give you the wise guy games. They laid 7 as soon as the line came out on San Francisco off that horrible loss to the Vikings. That tells you something right there. And it's in L.A., Rams. They're playing at the Rams. I told you how atrocious they were. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason they played the game real quick was that news came out, Cooper Kupp, super sauce, stud receiver, one of those guys that's always open like Kelsey, and he just kills you. You say, right. How is he open? How is he open? He's injured, so I think they jumped on the 49ers. But what happened since then, the 49ers already without McCaffrey lose Debo. He's like running back / wing back. He runs, catches passes. So now two of their offensive stars are out. They still have Ayuk, they still have Kittle, and that backup running back's been doing good. But I got to wait on that because those are big injuries, and I want to see if that line comes down off of those injuries. But if it maintains 7 and goes to 7.5, the wise guys know what they're doing there. And like I said, I put more stock in them in the pros than I do in me. Not in college. I'm not that convinced yet in college. They took Jets minus 7 over New England. I can see that if you want to handicap the game and think about, without getting into the numbers, which I'll do, the Jets started on the road 2 games. They played in the 49ers, tough game. Right. Then they had to go to Tennessee. 2 tough venues to play at. Tennessee's no slouch. They won the game. They were touted last week to win. And I think coming home, this is Aaron Rodgers' first home game since he was hurt.
Wow.
Okay? And since the tears were shed from Jet fans. So I could see that being a good game for the Jets. Right. I didn't do the numbers yet. Again, and, once we get this, you'll be able to follow what I come up with just by seeing my analysis going on daily. But you know that they played that game. I think that's the reason. I think those are obvious things. Well, they're not. A lot of people don't think that way, But if you know they played 2 road games and they're coming home, that's very big. Wise guys played over Houston and the Vikings. Houston scores a lot of points. Vikings, I could see that. They're playing on carpet. They have a lot of speedy players. And another wise guy also took Houston. So I'm going to definitely follow the over the Houston game because, like I said, just first reaction, those 2 all play the Jets and over in the Houston game. I'm going to wait and see on Houston because it's minus 2. Right. If it inches up too far, you get some other wise guys say, I'll take those 3.5 points, and go for a middle arbitrage, and we talked about that. And the 49ers. Like I said, just keep an eye on that one. All right, it's Q&A time.
Okay, let's see what we got.
All right. I think I did everything I had to do here, right? Yes. Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
All right, Kathy from Brooklyn. I knew you when you were in high school. Loved the book. Did Terrence Winter write the script? I heard that. And how come you aren't in the Tulsa King? I didn't ask that question.
Well, let me answer it in the order you said it. Well, first of all, hello, Kathy. My childhood friend. I mean, I knew a few Kathys. hope it's not the one I dated. She broke up with me, and now she's writing me note. Nah, I don't think it's her.
No, I don't
she
think
would have
so.
said that. Anyway, Terrence Winter did write the script. We've spoken about that. And it was moving along until he got called to the Tulsa King. And I didn't get called with him. So I'm a little upset about that. But listen, everybody's got to make a living. So hopefully, well, you know.
Well, we did hear that now they're hiring a lot of local
Yes.
extras and
they
things
are.
like that.
Well, I'm not an extra.
I didn't mean that in that.
If I'm gonna
Outside
if
of
I'm
that-
going, I'm getting a speaking part. I'm going to get up,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
whack somebody. Or
I was talking
give
about
somebody a beating.
the key characters.
Yeah, maybe get hired by Stallone as his right hand man from Brooklyn, something like that. But no, I'm not. It's I was actually waiting for my own to come out
That's
because
true.
I have sad credits, so I'm certainly welcome to join. I just haven't done it yet. I may do it, but I was definitely going to do it if this turns into a series or a movie because I know Terrence wants me to play my father or my Uncle Albert. He's leaning towards my father. He thinks it would be a beautiful thing for the public to see. So. But yeah, he did write the script, and we're still waiting. Unfortunately.
Yes. Mondo. I tried handicapping. Too much work for one person. How hard is it for you? How many hours of work? Oh, let me start this one. Mondo, you have no idea.
Oh God, I'm obsessed.
Yes, it's a lot of hours. I think he's up at 5:30, having his first cup of coffee, probably spends 3 hours. Then we go to the gym.
Right.
After the gym, comes back, takes a dip in the pool, and gets back to
I
handicapping.
don't even have time to shower, so I go in the pool. But it's salt water, so I actually go into the little waterfall, wash my hair, clean up nice, put on shorts, and work for another few hours.
Yeah, works for another
Yeah.
few hours, probably takes a break in the afternoon. We'll go do something.
Take a bike ride for lunch, something like that. But yeah, it is a lot of hours.
And then not to mention the hours you spend watching the games.
Yeah.
So,
Or scoreboards and videos and things like that.
correct. And then, but you even start in the summer, you're handicapping for
That's
college.
That's a great point. Yeah, I start as soon as the first publications come out, which is the end of May, early June, like May 26th to June 1st, somewhere in there. And I go through 2 magazines. And everything I read, I go to the college websites to see if there's anything missing or if anybody. And then I got to go to the portals to see who's changing, who's in the portal and might be moving. So it's constant. And then, doing the numbers, it takes me 3 full days to
Yeah.
do the college games and then a day to do the pros. So, but with other life going on, and I do have some help. I have people looking at look aheads, who they're playing next. I have somebody doing the injury report, and obviously Kelly helps me with a lot of things. But it's a ton of work. If you have a regular, I'm lucky that I own the gym. I
Right.
train the people hours that are
Work for you.
conducive to help me continue to do this. I have other trainers that help me, so I'm lucky there. But if you have a full-time job or you have kids, our kids are older, so you can't do it. It's impossible. And that's why a service like this is priceless.
It is, yeah.
And for the price, we're charging $49.95 a month. It's the price of a newspaper. If you go buy a newspaper and open it up and read things to try to get information, you're not going to get one iota of what we give you, and we're only giving you a small percentage of what's on the site every day, and it'll be there very soon. So.
Okay. Carlos from Florida. Do you watch the games all the time? Is your wife okay with this? Mine breaks my chops over it. So I'm going to start off.
I might as well just ask you the questions from now on.
Well, that's a possibility.
Go ahead.
So in our house, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 TVs. The TVs he breaks apart into multiple games.
Yes.
And it's safe to say Saturdays and Sundays we don't go anywhere. The family comes over
On Sundays, yes.
and we watch football
Yeah.
all day, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
Thursday night, Monday night, Friday night. Yeah.
We actually have a setup in our living room. This is our lounge area. This is our bar area. Behind the lights are our bar and ATV. You know, we have like a little lounge sitting area. We moved these chairs to set them up a little differently. But inside we have a large TV that I break up into 4 games, and the top one is usually the red zone. But on other nights where there's maybe just something I got to keep an eye on, like the Major League Baseball scoreboard or something, I have a TV on top of our big TV. That one stays on sports, so I can keep an eye on the scores, if anything, in news alerts. A lot of times they come up, somebody got hurt or whatever. And we're watching a movie down at the bottom. The
Right.
problem with that is, I ask her all through the movie, what happened? What just happened? What did they do?
He does.
Because I'm
He
watching
does.
the ball game. Yes.
And then
so
3
Carlos,
more murders happened, and I didn't know who died in that split second.
So, but yeah, so we do watch a lot of sports. I do watch a lot more. And if your wife's breaking your chops, pick some winners and buy her something, and then
Yes.
she'll be okay with it.
That's
If
right.
you're losing, nobody's going to be okay with it.
That's true. Okay. The Pope of Daytona Beach. Who will win this World Series?
Oh. Well, I gave my picks early in the season, and I made the box. I boxed up the Yanks in Baltimore with Philly and LA. Now, again, as the season goes on, that's not rocket science. But before the season starts, you can get odds
Yes.
on picking the matchup. So any one of those odds, if they meet each other in any way, shape, or form, if the Dodgers play the Yankees or Orioles, or the Phillies play the Yankees or Orioles, let's just say for a $100 bet, each one of them will bring me anywhere from $800 to $1,200. So it costs me $400 to win $800 or $1,200. I've got a good shot, and that's if you did 100.
Right.
My units may be higher, they may not. You know, I'm not going to tell you what my units are, but
I don't even know
but
what
it's-
his units
no,
are.
you can't. You panic.
I would.
No, but I'll tell you who I think's going to win it. And this is where my conspiracy theory always comes in. I think Major League Baseball and the public want an old-fashioned LA Dodger Yankee World Series. They did it all through the 70s and 80s. It's been a long time now, okay? And there's a lot of other things. You got Aaron Judge on the Yankees. You got Ohtani. They're both fighting for 60 home runs. They're both MVP caliber players. Probably both got the MVP locked in their leagues. And I just, the Phillies are, and my cousin Joey, you made a great point about the Phillies. Last year, they were up 3-1 against Arizona. They should have won the World Series.
Right.
And they blew it. And they were a better team than Arizona, but Arizona got hot and they got a little cocky, thinking, we got nothing to lose. And they came back and won. And they're not going to forget that. And they've got, out of all of the teams, the best pitching. Mm-hmm. They got, at least 3 aces. Aces. Most teams are lucky to have 1 ace.
Right.
So I'm going to get. I'm down to those 3 because I think the Yankees will beat out Baltimore, but Philly and the Dodgers, I'll have it either way. So I'm not going to lock into any single one. I don't have to. I already made my predictions and I'm alive. But I wouldn't mind the Subway Series either. The Mets against the Yankees. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So this will be our last question. Big Phil from Orlando. Do the books hate you for this?
Well, I'll have to go back to when I was a booker. And there were these touts, and there was this different groups, like we talked about the whiz kids, the computer guys, the kosher boys. I mentioned Billy Walters, who's probably to this day, one of the top guys to ever tout and be in this industry. A lot of guys come and go.
Right.
A lot of guys come and go. I'm still here.
Right.
And he's
a lot of books come and go.
Yeah, a lot of books come and go. Very good point. I didn't hate them because I knew enough to get the information quick. Get the information and move your point spread. Somebody's going to take the other side. I did read the Billy Walters book, and there wasn't anything in there that surprised me too much.
Right.
But one thing I got from where he said that A lot of books are afraid to take action early in the week. He thinks that's the biggest mistake they can make. Because if you don't, and the wise guy hits you on Friday, you only got one day to get the other side.
Well, that's a
So
good
if you
point.
take a game at -7, they play -7, and you go up to 8 or 8.5. When I was booking, I moved 2 points, and I charged a little bit on the underdog because I knew they were going to buy it. Somebody's going to take it. Oh, 9 points. Everybody else got 7.5. Whatever. So you move the point spread, and you can actually go out and edge off. If you're fast enough, you make the same play somewhere that the wise guys played. So there's no reason to hate guys that are doing this. As a matter of fact, it's like if you were going to buy and sell stock, you would go to a broker. You would get information from a broker, or from who's that guy that they said when he speaks, everybody listens. H&R Block. Remember H&R Block?
E.F. Hutton.
Oh, E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Yes.
So, so it still promotes. It makes somebody buy the stock. Now, if it goes up high, somebody's going to sell that stock.
Right.
Somebody's doing something. So they shouldn't, do you hate Colin for his show? He gives picks every week, and he's not bad. He's not bad. I don't think he's as good as me, but he's not bad. Colin Coward, he's not bad. I'd go in competition with him anytime. We pick 10 games each. Same thing with that Chris Russo. He wants to tell me about all his parlays after the game's over. I'm here telling you in advance, Texas stacking over. Anybody else I could call out today?
No, I think
I'm
you're
feeling my oats.
Yes,
it's
you
my
are.
It's my first day off. I want you all to know that we're going to add fitness things to this too. I hurt my shoulder about a month ago, and I can't work out. I can't. I mean, really bad. I got to go to the doctor today. And I got a feeling they're going to tell me there's something torn in there. So what I've been doing is I've been running. Somebody's call it Forrest Gump. They see me all over. I just keep running. I don't know what to do with myself. So anyway, that's my problem right now. I can't work out.
So you haven't been working out, so today you're feeling a little...
Yeah, so today I'm feeling good because I didn't go for a run. I have all this energy. And,
You'll be running right after the show.
No, I'm not going to run. I'm going to take off today. I'm definitely going to rest up. I got plenty of time to run the rest of the week. And I think at this point we'll have to say goodbye.
Yes.
So
we wish you all a good week.
Profitable
and
week.
We will keep you updated.
Yes. And don't
on
forget,
the website.
get straightened out with Inside Straight and be a winner.